Hello again. So, JM here, and I'm already at section 7. I have completed section 6, the introduction to Bootstrap, in my course in Udemy for web development. So, in section 6, we were introduced to responsive web development, and this is with the help of CSS and Bootstrap, Bootstrap in particularly, wherein Bootstrap is a CSS library that was developed originally by Twitter development team and was then shared to the public. And then afterwards, afterwards, the community of developers are already helping into building more um, items or more code that can be reused by other developers. So Bootstrap was made to help to make the website more responsive. Responsive web design means whenever I move the screen size, change the screen size, the elements will respond to the size accordingly to the best and maximize the space within that screen size. It doesn't mean the web page should respond fast. It doesn't relate to the speed of the website, rather the movement and the design, the arrangement of the elements within a web page. So that's responsive web design. So let's get back to the basics. Bootstrap. So the first thing that was discussed is the nav bar, which is the navigation bar, where we use the nav HTML element. And then basically it works just like assigning pre-developed classes, and then these classes has their own properties already that will enable you to use this for your UI for the purpose of um, for the purpose that is meant to be. For example, this nav, there are classes such as navbar or navbar expand. Let's look into my code. So let's look at the navbar. So here's the navbar class under the section. We assigned the div class container fluid, then nav class. Here we assign the nav to navbar and nav expand LG, which is large, navbar dark. So in this navigation bar, we have this lines of code. So navbar is just enabling the navigation bar class to this nav tag. So navbar expand LG just means these contents inside the nav will be expanded or will stack beside each other rather than stacking vertically. So let's just copy this to the code and try to run. As you can see there, you cannot see it because it's currently at navbar dark. This part, navbar dark, is just a theme for navbar, so I can type in navbar light so that you can see it for light mode. There you go. So navbar expand LG. Let's try to remove them. What will happen then? Oh yeah, because we still have this toggler. We can delete this first, and the toggler, so that we could see right there. So you see the one that we removed is nav for expand. When you add it back here, it will be stacked beside side by side. Without it, let's see, it will be like this, vertical. So that's why we want to have navbar expand LG. So for now, we remove the button and the toggler, the hamburger button. So this, as I mentioned a while ago, is just the theme. This A-class navbar brand is used for styling this text into a link and with their own predefined styling. This one, navbar nav, is for containing this nav items, navigation bar items, which is contact, pricing, and downloads. The MS Auto is what do you call this? Margin start auto means for this list, the unordered list, contact, pricing, and downloads. I want it to have a margin on its start, which is the leftmost part of this group, unordered list, to have an automatic margin. Auto means it will fill up the space, full space from the S or start. That's why everything went on to the right. That's what it does. If I remove this, it goes to the left. So let's put it back. All right. Okay. Now, this is just a nav link, enables you to make this a link. And it already has styles that Bootstrap has provided. So let's bring back the what do you call this? The collapsible button. So they just placed a button and a toggler icon. Let's bring it back. A toggler icon inside, which is the hamburger button. So I'll place the button inside. Okay. Okay. And then what it does here, we just identify it as navbar toggler. And then this data BS toggle collapse just enables the action that when we have the specific size, when the smaller size of the screen, we will have those items inside the target here, the target div or the target element to be collapsed. And we set up the target, and all this area is just for assistive purposes. So this can be deleted, but let's keep it there since it's defined by default. I just copied it. This span is the icon, the hamburger icon. And then we have this unordered list be enclosed in a div that has a class of collapse, navbar collapse, and assigned by an ID, which will be targeted by our button. So that's how everything was constructed. So one thing, let's enclose, enclose this list into a div. Okay. Unordered list. Div. Oh, why did I say exit? Then run. So there, the icon was added. So that's all for the basic navbar and how it's made. What else was discussed? Oh yeah, there's also one that was discussed. It's about the Bootstrap grid system. Let me just set up something here. Div class row. So the Bootstrap grid system is just the system of code, basic codes that Bootstrap has created to allow responsive elements and to allow it to, what do you call this? They divided the screen, whatever the size is, into 12 equal parts. And then based on that, you will design or contain the elements accordingly, depending on their screen size. So they did it by creating a row class and a column class, where the row class is simply the wrapper for your div columns. So once we have the class row, we create our div class call, which are the columns. So if we run this, we won't see anything. That's why I would make this, give this an inline style of background of, let's say, blue, and a height of 20 pixels. Run. Oops, style. Okay, then I create two more. One, yep, 1, 2, and change their color to green and change this color to red. So now we have one row with 3 columns. So as you can see, in whatever screen size, it's still 3 columns. But if we can set the columns since I've mentioned a while ago that Bootstrap um, box system is divided into 3 to 12 units, 12 units. So for example, I want this column to occupy 12 units, meaning the whole row, I can just type in col dash 12, 12 units for that column. I can do the same for this, or I could just want to occupy 4 out of 12 or 30% of the total screen size or the total width. See, this occupied 1/3 and the remaining column adjusted accordingly, having the 60% occupied. I mean, 66% occupied. So that's how it works. Also, another important thing is setting up the size of the screen where you want to apply this number of units. So for example, I want the blue column to occupy 3 units out of 12 when my screen size is, let's say, large. Otherwise, it will occupy full 100% width. So this one, it's still 100%. But when I move it to a larger screen size, as you can see, the column adjusted accordingly and moved to 3 out of 12, which is 1/4 of the total size. We can also apply it to other columns. For example, this green, I want it to be 100%. No, I want it to occupy just, let's say, yeah, 4 when the screen size is medium. Okay. So when you reach medium, it went to 40. But for smaller, it becomes 100% again. Right? So that's just concept of this. Last thing, controller, container, container fluid and container was discussed. It's just part of Bootstrap, most of the time used for the grid system to allow the contents to be more responsive and contain this grid system accordingly. So the difference between them is that container fluid occupies 100% of the width, but the container has a limit to its width. So it's just both has its own padding, margin, and spacing to contain these elements. So that's it for the basics of Bootstrap. I'm still finishing the section 7. I will explain what I've learned after that section also. Thank you.